Okay, so here's another episode of Quick Takes. So this would be episode number 5, and what we're looking at here is a resolve timeline. So the reason why I'm making this video is because yesterday I put out a video about a technical LUT that helps make other LUTs essentially do their work and do their work better, taking the edge off of the video look that we can get sometimes from some of these digital cameras. So that's what I have here. In this very first node, it's basically that LUT applied. This is the node that I used to create that LUT. So what I'll show you here is this is Canon EOS R5 8K RAW, the way that it was captured. So this is what's there. So if I turn on the second node, I'm basically applying the Canon provided LUT. And let me just make the screen larger so you can see it. It looks pretty good, right? But it definitely has that video edge to it. And that's the part that always kind of gets to me. And you might notice that the mouse is not in focus. And the main reason for it is that I went back and forth from, making sure the mouse was in focus. And then I went to make sure that my color checker was in focus. Well, this actually is the beautiful sign that the mouse is holding. And then I went forward and I made sure that the data color checker was in focus because I want to see the characteristics of how the LUT is actually working. So again, this is just the actual Canon provided LUT for Canon YDR with Rec 2020 color applied to the 8K RAW out of the Canon EOS R5. Now, I want you to pay attention to the cabinet in the background, the orange patch, the red patch, the blue patch, and then also slightly the green so that you can see what my LUT does and why it is that I'm saying it takes that edge off. So if I apply my LUT, now we have more true cyan colors, more true magenta colors, yellow that is not overly saturated, red that is not overly saturated, green that is true to what the color chart is, and blue that looks like blue rather than purple. So off, on, it's subtle, but it's there. And that's that edge that I'm talking about. So let's turn off that LUT. And now let's look at some of my other LUTs. And I'm not trying to push my Canon C200 RAW LUTs, but that's what I'm going to be using for the rest of this video. So if you don't want to hear it, it's time for you to check out. So here's my Alexa lookalike LUT. And there you see it's saturated, right? It's still punchy, but it's saturated. Now, if I apply that correction LUT or that technical LUT that I talked about in yesterday's video, look at what happens to the colors. Now it doesn't look so much like video. Now it looks a lot more natural. Is that okay for me to say? It actually does. It looks more natural. And if you look at this gray card area, if I turn this off, you can very quickly see that there is a tint that has been added. You can see the tint on the gray. You can see the tint here in the background. The tint basically is covering the entire image. But when I apply that technical LUT to correct for it, all of a sudden we get more true to what my eye actually saw on this scene. And this is the reason and the purpose for this technical LUT. So let's turn off the Alexa lookalike. And we're going to go now with one of the LUTs that I use every single day, almost every day of the year if I'm actually working. So this is the Broadcast 3 LUT. And this is very good on skin tones. It's very good in general. And as you can see, it looks pretty good, right? Like it looks fairly nice. Let me just make this larger so you guys can see it. It looks pretty good. All in all, the colors, they're not, overly saturated or anything. We have a little bit of noise going on, but of course this was captured in RAW, so There is no built-in denoising. So now let's take a look at what happens when I apply the technical LUT, just so that you guys can all see what this is. And bam. Look at the orange, look at the cyan, look at the magenta, and look at the red. And of course, look at the blue because, blue on Canon cameras is known to go slightly into purple. That saturation, or the reduced saturation, does not really affect the contrast. And that's one of the reasons why I got all excited yesterday. But that's the broadcast LUT. But now let's look at some more stylized LUTs. So this one I call the feature LUT. And all in all, it looks fine, except you can see that my gray card is absolutely contaminated. So if I apply that technical LUT in front of it, bam, it cleans it up. Not just that color, but it cleans up the entire image. All my greens, the different hues of green, the oranges, the reds, it just cleans it up. Very much more filmic and a lot less video. And this is, again, why I asked everyone to test or help me test so that we could refine this LUT and then make sure that it's available for everyone. But if you look at the mouse's scarf here, let me just blow this up. Look at how much texture that 8K has and how nice this green is. And if I show you the vector scope, we are within legal limits. In other words, we can drop this LUT or these pair of LUTs onto the footage and it is ready for broadcast. That is really important to me and people that deliver the broadcast. So that's why I'm mentioning it. So let's take a look at the Hbo Lut. This is one of the most popular LUTs. So many people have emailed me or sent me links to work that they've done where they use this LUT. And I really do like and enjoy this LUT myself quite a bit. And as you can see, with the technical LUT applied, it looks filmic. I mean, it doesn't look video. Let's just say that. It doesn't look video. And let me just blow it up so you guys can see here. Very nice. There is some noise, and this is one of the reasons why I need to continue to test so I can clean this up. If I focus on the data color chart here, let me just find a spot, I can still see noise, which really means I need to continue to work on this LUT to make sure that these artifacts don't show up. Of course, if you're delivering to 2K or 4K, you won't see them, but that's not the point, right? The point is to have something that is always working correctly all of the time, not some of the time. But if I turn this off, here you can see, once again, we have this weird hue of something that is contaminating all of our colors. It still looks okay, but to my eye and on my monitor, this looks a lot better. Hopefully YouTube doesn't completely destroy this video. But again, that is why I'm working on this technical LUT. So now let me show you guys Netflix. So here's Netflix without any additional correction. Off the bat, this looks good. To me, it looks good. And if I blow it up so you guys can see it, it's very clean throughout, right? It just looks good. There's the mouse now in focus. We can see the noise pattern in the color in the background that is produced from the way that I shot this clip. But once the things are in focus, you very quickly see, let me get back to data color, very quickly see, let me see if I can play any of this. Oh, here we go. You can see the noise pattern. So there is noise there. And that is what I'm trying to clean up and what I need all of you to help with. Now, check this out. That's the correction LUT. Look at what happens, how much more separation there is between the mouse and the background when I apply the technical LUT that I'm asking all of you to help with. This is really, really good for the type of work that I shoot. Now, if you need something that's warmer and more saturated, you don't need this technical LUT. I need something that's more true, clean, so that I can then stylize to my own taste. I'm gonna turn off Netflix, and I'm gonna go with teal and orange. Teal and orange is going to be stylized on purpose, right? So we see a little bit of haze, even though the correction LUT's on there. But without it, look at how much worse it looks or more video it looks. And again, this is why I'm working on this LUT, to help fix these issues so that we can all end up with much, much better footage. I'm going to turn off teal and orange, and I'm going to go with punch it. Now, punch it, of course, just as it implies, it's a very punchy image, high contrast, and it looks pretty good, right? But that's because we have that primary correction applied. If I turn it off, look at how much more video this looks. Look at what happens to the oranges. It just doesn't look quite right. But once I apply my technical correction LUT, all of a sudden we go back into this normal mode. It's still punchy. The colors are still in your face. So there you have it. Episode 5, quick takes. It's a wrap for today, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.